I've started off your chat, by the way. I've gone.
Oh, thank you. Well, someone has to do it. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I've got a dreaded PowerPoints this time, like last time, with the Caesar's Legion. We sort of reverted back to PowerPoint. Right. So, hello everyone. This is the second installment of the Politics of, and this one is going to be on Nilfgaard. And so, uh, what we've done so far is on Caesar's Legion. We sort of cover factions in popular culture, whether it's video games, books, films, what have you. And so
All
this
three in
week,
this case.
yeah, it's all three now, isn't it? And so this one we're sort of taken from the world of The Witcher series, and we're going to be talking about one of my favourite factions, and that is the Nilfgaard, or as probably known as the Nilfgaardian Empire, because throughout the books and such, they expand ever northwards, and depending on what happens, spoiler alert, in spoiler alert, in The Witcher 3, it depends if they successfully conquer, I guess, the known world, or most of the known world anyway.
Yeah, it's just Temeria, really. I think in Witcher 3. Oh, is it
Yeah,
Redania as well, actually? Because of Radovid?
yeah. There's I think with Redania that is basically. Let me just think. Yeah, I think what happened with Witcher 3, like the end of Witcher 2, Witcher 3, is Redania takes out Kedwin,
Yeah.
and then Nilfgaard takes out Temeria and Eden. And basically Radovid sort of tries to unite all the northern realms, I guess, under the Redanian crown, and so there's and it's sort of like a sort of, I guess, like a Cold War-esque atmosphere between the two, because during The Witcher 3, the armies are both on one side of the Pontar River, and they're
Yeah,
just sort of
it's
eyeing
more of a
each other up.
stalemate, isn't it? But rather than that, a Cold War, because it's quite active. There are battles going on in White Orchard. So.
Yeah, true. There are, yes, and I think one of the problems with, I guess, with any conquest is um, to make sure that your supply lines are, number one, you've got your supply lines all sorted, and number two, that the people that you've conquered aren't actively rebelling and causing troubles behind enemy lines. But anyway, this is this is the map of the world of the Witcher that we've got. So the one on the left is, I guess, it's the map of the known worlds within the Witcher, and yeah, you got like all the mountains and everything, and got Zerrikania and such to the east. I think in the second book, or the second season of The Witcher, I believe Ciri, she teleports herself to
The
into
desert.
the desert.
It's in
Or was it
it's
Blood
like,
of
well,
Elves?
it's Blood of Elves or the one after. I want
Oh,
to
it might
say
be.
it's the one after.
Yeah,
Because then
and
she gets out of there and meets the rats, doesn't she?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course, I mean, you got Zerrikania and uh, the. I think it's just one massive desert. I mean, that's how it's sort of
Yeah.
framed. I think there's nothing
Well,
beyond it.
yeah, it's referred to as the frying pan, and no one can get past it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
that yeah, and then of course you got to the north. You got so what you got here on the map is effectively in the south. The sort of shaded in purple is the Nilfgaardian empire, I guess you could say, or Nilfgaardian realm, right before the events of the Last Wish.
Yeah. That's from the start of the book series.
that started the books. So by then, because this is the thing, Nilfgaard. The funny thing with Nilfgaard is their expansion wasn't necessarily when they sort of emerged as an empire. Their expansion was around when they were like this, I guess, like an oligarchy republic in many ways. That's the way that I see it.
It's like it's more like a constitutional monarchy, but the only people who
Yeah,
can vote are the Senate, which doesn't
yeah,
make sense because the Senate doesn't have a monarch. So
no,
at least
and the senators were made up of like powerful Nilfgaardian nobles who
yeah,
lived within the capital city, which is the city of the Golden Towers. That's that's what the city is referred to um, as, or just Nilfgaard as the capital, but yeah, so
way to the south. Yeah,
yeah, you got it in the little map on the top right here. This is basically like the core territory. So like I guess if you was to say like the origins of Rome, this would be the Rome. This is where they all originated. The Nilfgaardian society originated from, and I think we'll go into sort of the origins of it. So yeah, so I was trying to think with this because it's sort of, again, some of this is referenced in the books, especially I think Blood of Elves, and uh, I want to say Time of Content as well. There's sort of loose references to it, but the start, like with the start of, I guess you could say the continent, the history of the continent in the Witcher world. The continent was ruled by and occupied by elves, and other sort of sentient, sort of the elder races, I guess you would say, before humans arrived during the I believe it was
conjunction.
Conjuncture of Spheres event.
Yeah,
And
that's when the year system starts after the conjunction of the spheres. So if the year's 1000, it's 1000 years after that event. So, and because it's saying like 2nd century is when all Nilfgaard started to mix with the humans started mixing with elves. Or that
yeah,
was only 200 years or so after humans entered the world, really. Which is quite
yeah,
fast when you think about it.
yeah. It is. I mean, I remember. Oh, you see, this is chokes. I can't remember where. I think it might was referenced in one of the games, but might be referenced in the book, one of the books as well. That there is a problem with the elves when it comes to fertility rate. It's like they really struggle to reproduce. So maybe the replacement was real.
Race mix to survive, yeah.
Yeah, the banking dwarfs brought humans over on their ships to further control the world's finances.
Yeah, I think it's something like elves live to like 200, but they're only fertile up to about 50. So that's the thing. Very
Yeah,
aging population.
yeah, that's the thing, and they don't. I mean, I imagine when it comes to like military and like fighting, it'd be a disaster to have like elves on the battlefield, because even if they lost and they lost heavily, then it'd be. I mean, that would sort of be certain death of any sort of elven kingdom.
Yeah, just kill the young. Yeah, basically.
Just kill the young, and effectively within about a couple hundred years. Because that's because what I've got up here is the first settlers to arrive in what's now the Nilfgaardian realm were the Black Shay, which is because you have like the N Shay, which are the elves from
Whiteys.
and then you've got the NL, which are the elves from the continent, the ones that you would come across in game or referenced in books. They're the ones that I mean, I think there are certain actual in-group sort of ethnic differences between the two. I know the Enshe and the NL don't.
Yeah,
There is
they
like a
hate each other.
superiority.
I mean, aren't they basically slaves in whatever the elf world's called?
Yeah,
because they are like completely second class to Enshe. Yeah, and the weapon.
I also think the Enshe are taller as well. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I think that was like because I think that you see it like in The Witcher 3. You see, when you meet
Alavak.
Not well, yes, Alavak because he's taller, but it was the other one. He was like the deputy for Eredin.
Oh, Imarith. I think
Yeah,
it is.
because the Wild Hunt, the Wild Hunt commanders and the soldiers you come across, they are like I think they're even taller than Geralt and most of the Witchers, which is So
Geralt's like 6'1", so it's
Yeah, I mean they're like 7 foot. I think some of them.
Yeah.
Um,
they're huge.
they're
hence
huge.
their boss battles. Yeah.
Yeah, only if the boss battle was slightly more interesting and game.
Well, yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well.
But
that's the origin, isn't it? Humans mixing with, well, dark elves, I guess we'll call them.
Yeah, and I mean they because you got like these if you see back on the map on the previous one, we've got like certain like around where Nilfgaard is, you got several rivers, and so you had like a collection, like I mean they say it's a collection of farming settlements of humans, and then as we said, they would mix with the elven nations that exist there, and unlike, I mean, because this is the interesting thing with the northern, but the Nordlings, as they call the northern humans, they didn't really integrate with the elves. They just replaced them and sort of wiped out them and the culture, and just like they didn't exist, before. But with the Nilfgaardians, they fully adopted not just the culture and technology and so military and such, but they, I mean, they basically they integrated, as we said, like genetically as well, and
that's why you end up having some of them who end up being sources, basically, because quite a lot of powerful mages and sorceresses and what have you do end up having elf blood in some way, and that's why Ciri's able to, spoiler, travel between worlds. She's got the Laura Doran blood.
Laura Doran, yeah.
Is that from both sides as well? Or is that just from her mother's side?
I think it's just her mother's side.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. If I remember correct, I think it's just mother's side because there's a reference to say that the women in the family, especially like the female born, are the ones more prone to adopt the gift. I could be wrong.
No, I remember that. I remember that from the books.
Yeah. And of course you have like the religion itself, because the religion, the Great Sun, the worshipping of the sun is elven, is the elven religion. So I mean there isn't much reference to how, like, did they retain anything, what is originally human, what's originally elven culture. But it seems that effectively Nilfgaardians were the continuation of what the elven nation that existed in the southern part of the continent. And I mean, it's probably a reason why they were so advanced and were able to swiftly conquer, which will be the next point we come on to. Yeah, so actually, this is quite a good, nice little fan art that I found of the early expansion. I don't know. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Golden Sun's different depending who's drawing it as well, and I always like the simplified one from the Witcher games.
Yeah,
and then but there's some who draw like suns with faces on, but they didn't really make a whole lot out with the sun in the show, from what I remember. But
no, that is. I don't know why. Because I think there's no reason not to. I know. I know the banners and flags are different depending on which vassal province you're in. Because the sort of there's like it's like that with the Australian flag, with the mini Union Jack, and then or like the old South African flag. So they're like these subtle differences amongst imperial provinces, but no, I mean, uh, and this is the thing, because the early monarchy wasn't really that effective. It was, I mean, like most, they had like their own council of advisors and such. But the interesting thing, and I was doing a bit of sort of research into this today, actually. I remembered this. The Nilfgaardians didn't have any major sorcerers or sorceresses within the sort of advisory group, if that makes sense. That, I mean, of course, they did have sorcerers in there, but they weren't power. They weren't like the influential, I guess you would say, Northern kingdoms.
No, well, Thaned's in the north, so that might be why. Because that's wait, is it Thaned where they're trained? Or am I thinking?
Yeah.
No, is it? Oh, I can't remember.
There,
There's a
there are
lot of
several,
places.
there are several places. I mean, there's one in Kedwin. There's I think in the city there. There's a like a major school as well. I think that's where Yennefer actually trains. Come to think of it,
Uh,
or where, actually no, I might be thinking of the completely wrong.
Kedwin that's where Kaer Morhen is.
Yeah, that's the kingdom where Kaer Morhen sits.
Yeah. Oh man, that's bad that I can't remember that. It's in the show. Aretusa, that was it. Where's
Yeah,
Aretusa?
yeah, that's in.
Yeah, that's
Is
on
that,
Thaned. That is on Thaned. That is on Thaned. Yeah, so
that
that's
is
in the
something.
north. So yeah, that's probably why the northern kingdoms had all the mages, because that's where they trained.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, obviously way down south, they probably, after invading Sintra, that's when they start getting mages. So kind of
Yeah,
makes sense.
and it's quite interesting you mentioned Sintra, because obviously one of the I guess in the books and in the game and such, and in the Netflix series as well, is that obviously Nilfgaard comes across as this very violent, expansionist superpower, but its origins before they adopted an imperial court was actually quite I wouldn't say peaceful, but it was rather restrained from just all out slaughter of their neighbors. So
Yeah,
um,
Sintra was definitely the worst, but they weren't just there to take Sintra; they were there to capture Syria as well. And
and make
obviously,
it, yeah,
if you're trying to specifically capture the princess, yeah, you're probably going to be pretty violent to get there. So that
yeah,
makes at least some sense. That's in the book as well, at least.
yeah,
Kind of delve away from each other mid-series, but what can you do?
yeah, and yes, and I mean I'll try and talk about the book and maybe not so much of the Netflix series from now on.
Yeah.
But okay, so with let me just okay, let me go. Okay, let me
Arakiba.
go. Um,
Yeah.
Right. So I'll just take you back to the first map. So the first expansion was with Vicerovia, and the interesting one with that is at that point Nilfgaard was effectively started the expansion, into Rohar here and everything, and from what we can tell is that from the information that we found out in the Witcher guide is that their expansion began very rapidly, very quickly, and their neighbours, seeing what was happening to the south of them, began, I guess, to question and to panic slightly. And like so, with Vicerovia, they decided to accept vassalization by Nilfgaard, and I think Atolia as well accepted. I don't know about the West Coast Jameria. I think they may have. I know there was some resistance from some of the earlier ons, but I know with Viscovia, they were the ones that really put up no fight. They just said, "Sure, come on in," and they actually ended up adopting Nilfgaardian culture and everything, and you'll see in sort of the stuff that I brought up here that they were selling Nilfgaardianized, so effectively the people, the language, the culture, the religion just became the dominant force.
Yeah,
in certain parts.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably all very similar anyway. Given that, well, Nilfgaard is basically, I guess you'd call it a elfinized human culture. And so with more elves in the south and having them all slaughtered in the north, that kind of makes sense. And as to why the north, at least north of Sintra and north, they'd all be very resistant to being Nilfgaardianized. So that kind of makes sense, I guess.
I imagine also. I mean, one of the things that you hear about the because obviously, I mean, let's not beat around the bush with this, but the northern kingdoms are, and the people in there are very, very racist and regularly pogroms against elves and dwarves and such and halflings and all that. So I imagine, like, and I think it's again, it's referenced in with Sintra and Last Wish that there is the northern kingdoms do show a great deal of contempt to the early Nilfgaardian state because of their mixed heritage. Because I guess they're not pure-blooded, I guess, in their eyes, and so they are. And also the fact that they have, like, we'll get onto it a bit later, but you have like a usurper, and there's like this really, constant political changing of the guard. So I imagine, for them, I mean, it's really funny because you think about it. At the start of the Witcher story, Nilfgaard is actually quite a divided land, which is not really any immediate threat until you come to the events of Sintra.
It's kind of, the Northern War might seems to really get the vassals into line from references in those books, and then obviously, I mean, this is going way forward, but by the time you get to the Third Northern War, in Witcher 3, depending what happens there, if you fail that again, Emir var Emrys gets assassinated because they're all fed up with him trying to go for wars that he keeps losing.
And
splits them up again.
Is the because I mean, I think you again, spoiler alert, but I think in the start of the Witcher 3, when you're in the Vizima in the palace, you hear references by the Nilfgaardian NPCs and such that you got the Merchants Guild, which is quite a powerful. And this is the thing, it's powerful in the sense that they are a powerful organization. There isn't like a figurehead that we know of, at least, who is wielding a great deal of power, but they are powerful nonetheless, because they're the ones that are financing the Nilfgaardian war effort. And I think when it comes to, I mean, when you play The Witcher 3, one of the most important cities for both Radovid and Emir was Novigrad.
Yeah,
Or Novigrad, sorry.
Yeah,
I said the real life Russian city there.
Yeah, and Novigrad's in the book anyway. So it's like a free merchant republic.
Yeah, it's a free merchant republic.
Yeah, it's a city state, but it's been taken over by Radovid. And it's not really explained, but how do you get from that's like Venice being taken over by I don't know, the Medici's via war, really.
I think what happens in the game, if I remember correctly, is the city state, because it's like always known as like the free city of Novigrad. That's like its title, and I think that's what's referred to in the book. It's like a free city. And I think by Witcher 3, it was the religious order of the
Eternal Fire.
The Eternal Fire that took control over the city, because they have I guess, like, you could see the Pope of the Eternal Fire. That's his residential capital. I don't know if, because I'm just trying to think back to Witcher 3. I don't think Radovid had like proper control over it. I mean, he had access to it, but I don't think he had like the.
No, I think the arrangement was essentially that both Radovid and the Eternal Fire hated sorcerers, and elves, and were just a bunch of racists, basically. So I think the idea was that there was an agreement that Radovid would have control, would have free reign of the city to an extent, while the Eternal Fire Church, they hire and run the witch hunters who were there to execute sorceresses and all that. But Radovid was there to kind of defend the city from the outside, because obviously they get raided by Scoia'tael as well, because there's a few Scoia'tael NPCs around the outside of it who try and raid it every now and then, I think. So I think it was something like that.
And of course, one of the things that about the city-state, like Venice, is that they are known for having a very powerful navy. And I think it's a permanent standing navy as well. I mean, but I think like it's like a mercenary navy. It's really laissez-faire. It's like a real laissez-faire society.
I mean, for people who haven't read the books, I think it's in The Last Wish. There's literally about a 3-page rant about how good capitalism is and how good Novigrad is for business. So read it for that, if nothing else.
I think also in the book, I think Geralt like references that he's like not a big fan of Novigrad, because I think it's just all the people. It just pisses him off a bit.
Well, he's basically too civilized for him. I think that's his main issue, because obviously he's going about hunting monsters all the time, and he's used to a really rough world, and it's like, oh, this is too much civilization. Which is why I think which is why it's very opposites attract with him in Dandelion, because obviously Dandelion's all about the civilization and poetry and things like that, whereas Geralt's a rough and ready guy. Dandelion really wants his stories, so that's why they end up traveling. Which again is something the show actually brought across quite well, I thought. But again, that's about the only 2 things I can say it did well.
And oh god, I mean, this is a side rant, but like especially on Tumblr and such, the new fans of The Witcher through Netflix, they refer to Dandelion as I guess his original name in the books before he adopted the alias Yaski, and it's like, and then I saw the most cancerous one, which was there was like a petition done to make Geralt and Yaski have like a sort of homosexual relationship in season 2, and it's like,
neither of them are gay.
Dandelion, I mean, literally, you read the books. Dandelion is like the opposite of gay, and just like the whole the running gag in The Witcher is how many times Geralt has to save him because he can't keep his in his trousers.
again, that's in the show. Like, lords are trying to kill him because it's like, oh, I saw him with my wife, and then Geralt has to say no because he was kicked in the balls by an ox when he was like 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, God.
But yeah,
Anyway, back to politics.
back to politics. Rant over.
But yeah, so the political makeup, I guess we can. I mean, there's kind of two things to talk about here. As it was rising to power, they had a monarch, and as they were expanding, they had a senate that was advising the monarch. But I mean, eventually, that turned into a absolute monarch and a kind of despotism.
Yeah, I'll say we'll get onto that because that is where Nilfgaard, because the Senate, from what I can see from the that I can find that's been referenced in the books and in like the wider lore, was that it was two families which were quite influential at the time. You had the von Emirates, which are obviously the ones that take over as the imperial rulers, but also the is it Varus or Varun?
Vorhis, I think it was.
Vorhis. So I might be pronouncing that completely wrong. Vorhis. They're these two families, and you obviously you come across like General Vorhis in
Morvaran. Yeah.
And these are two powerful families who have a long lineage of military service. From what I can see, much of the expansion and the early success was down to the collective work of the military and the Senate, and the kings or the rulers were. I mean, I can't really see, I can't even really find anything that they actually led like into battle, not like Emir did. So I guess, I mean, I'm making an assumption here from what I can see, but from what I can see, it's pretty much just several powerful families who operate within the military and in the Senate, who were the main force for Nilfgaardian expansion. To start with, that is what. So when I say expansion, I'm just talking about like the neighboring states outside of the original Nilfgaardian realm. And on the side note, again, this is referenced in the book. I've got my notes here as well. The only people who can be classed as true Nilfgaardians are those born within their capital city.
Oh wow! And here I was thinking they were civ nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're born within it, I think you gain like certain rights. You can. So I think can be given that if you're born within the city, you can rise through the ranks of the military. You can be in the Senate. It's like your privileges. I guess like what they had with the Roman Empire. I mean, it's very heavily influenced on the early rise of the Republic. So, because of course those born in the city of Rome were the Aboriginal Romans, the original Romans, and so there was like an element of group preference, I guess you could say that, and which I thought was quite interesting, because bearing in mind they were the one. Again, they integrated with elves. So, no, I mean, it's quite an interesting one. That effectively they, I mean, there's even reference like there was some that were born just outside the city. It was like, no, you're not true Nilfgaardians. So that so that has I guess that has an effect really with the hierarchical structure within the Nilfgaardian Empire, because a noble family who lives within the city is still higher up than the like the Duchess of Tucson or like a regional king or something, because of that that very fact. So we'll go on to the next slide.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, this is where Nilfgaard moved from like a I guess like a dominant senate and sort of lackluster monarch to a more centralized imperial society, imperialistic society, and it was Emir's was it grandfather?
It's grandfather, I think. Yeah.
Grandfather, Taurus van Emmers. He overthrew the Senate because he is the Senate, and and took absolute power. At first, and as I said, it says that here at first he only referred to his realm as only as a kingdom, but then during the later term of his reign, he basically referred to it as an empire because during his reign he furthered the expansion. I think he took places like Toussaint and he sort of took the empire boundary up the way to Sintra. So good portion of the south, and I guess you would say central areas of the continent fell to his rule.
Yeah. I think actually what inspired this was because what's he called? Who wrote this? Andres.
It's a Conchi or something like that.
I don't know. The book's on my shelf, but I'm in the dark. But yeah, I think actually to put this in context, the inspiration for this imperial rise was actually the communist revolution in or Stalin's rise to power, I should say, in Russia, because obviously he was born in Poland and he was under communist rule for some time. Hence, he loves capitalism, and hence he loved the free city of Nilfgaard and just sucked its dick for 3 pages, basically. So, yeah, I think because this sounds a lot like the CK2 game we're playing at the moment. This just sounds like Jack starting off in Sicily, making himself king, then becoming emperor when he just takes over Italy.
Yeah,
and it's quite so it's quite similar to that. Yeah, it's textbook really. Yeah, just overthrow your council, call yourself. I mean, they've got an elvish bloodline, so like they can say that they've derived power from the gods, so to speak. I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, the Var Emrys are they're like one of, I think they are like described as like the founding house of the Nilfgaardian realm. So I mean, they are they're an old and powerful nobility family, and who operated within the military. I mean, I think the fact that because they operated within the military is probably how they managed to overthrow the Senate anyway. On that reason alone, because they and yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would describe them as communists. I mean, in many ways,
no, they're not communist. No, they're not communist. The idea was that the idea of someone overthrowing like their council and becoming a despot, that was inspired by like Stalin's rise to power.
Yeah, Stalin's rise. Yeah.
That it's not that they were communists. It's just the whole principle of overthrowing someone. Really.
Well, I say it might be because there is. This is where the plot thickens a bit because the person who came after Torres, which was the quote unquote usurper, which I think is referencing Stalin. I mean, if you, I think this is the reference to Stalin here, and this is because we don't know it's an unknown aristocrat, a Nilfgaardian aristocrat who overthrew the overthrower, or the usurper, who we.
It was I think the usurper overthrew Torres's son Fergus. It was Fergus who was overthrown.
Oh, that was right. Yeah, it was Fergus who was the successor, and because now Fergus is Emir's father, and the usurper who overthrew the sort of Emir's family from the title of emperor, I guess you could say. And he sees the title for himself. And the interesting thing that he did, and this is where I think I see a link to communism here, and you just hear me out on this point. Sorry, this is one thing I want to say that I thought was quite interesting, that link was made, was that the usurper actively not tried to eradicate, but tried to remove the official state religion of the Nilfgaardian Empire, which was the cult of the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, is there ever a reason given as to why he usurped? I take it was for more than just for the sake of power.
I've had a look. I can't find too much. Maybe a Netflix special in the future. I don't know. I think there is I think there's like stuff in there's a few comics that talk about it, but there's not really much. I mean, from what I can see, from what the information I found, he basically kills Fergus, takes the throne, rules it for some time. Doesn't really expand the empire. He just tries to, I imagine, consolidate his power. And whoever this usurper is, and try and sort of devalues the official state religion, and then but he sort of, in doing this, he sort of pisses off every single noble Nilfgaardian family and military, and he just pisses everybody off, and then of course Emir, who comes in, returns to the homeland, and of course he overthrows the usurper and takes the reins of power.
According to, I'm just reading the wiki quickly, and according to this, there isn't much that Sapkowski says about it, but the CD Projekt Red actually say that Gauntro Dim, the Heart of Stone antagonist, he was the one who was kind of whispering in the usurper's ear to say, basically, you can do better than this. You're much better than the emperor, basically. So.
That's interesting, because that's like Nero. That's like the sort of mythology around Nero and Caligula, with the whispering in the ear and the sort of and sort of of the devil and such. So that's quite interesting, that one.
Well, that is Gauntro Dim, isn't it? In a nutshell, he's master of mirrors.
Yes, man of glass. The madding crowds name me the man of glass and all that. That's such a good character. That's such a good character as well. Gauntro Dim and a villain.
He's. I mean, especially given that it's just DLC as well. Like they did a really good job on him.
I love the foreshadowing though of the fact, because people. Again, this is, if you haven't played the game, just don't watch this stream, because I'm going to be going through some spoilers. But literally in the tutorial section in White Orchard,
he's there, isn't he?
Yeah, I remember originally playing it, and you coming across this guy, and who, and this is the thing, because I noticed, I guess, playing right back along, that because he had a unique voice actor, I thought we'll be seeing more of him in the game or something, and then you don't see him. And then when the DLC came out, and I immediately recognized, and I just thought, this is, I remember, because this is the thing, he said, I've given you a favor to tell you where, how to help find Yennefer. Man, he says, maybe one day in the future you can do me a favor. We travelers of the road must stick together, and all that sort of stuff. But no, he's villain.
Yeah, and he basically tries to get you to fuck over one of his debtors. Debtors, yeah. It's just like, it's great. No, he is a good character though, but that kind of makes sense as to why he'd want to get rid of the religion of Nilfgaard as well, because I imagine it contradicts quite a bit of what Gauntro Dim would want.
Yeah.
Dim's basically he's some sort of demigod, really, isn't he? He's he's a remarkably powerful man.
I think, he is the. Of course, he is the personification of evil. So effectively, he is the devil. Everything, concept of evil and everything is in him. Is within him. So he is pure evil.
He freezes time and puts a handle of a spoon in some guy's eye to kill him just because he bumped into him. He's got no moral compass, basically, and he's incredibly powerful. I'm surprised he doesn't do more, but
I think he likes playing people into. I think what he gets his kicks from is playing people into traps of their own making. That's like the whole, and that's he even talks about it, saying that what you wish for, what you want, is not necessarily the same thing. And he says that to Geralt quite a lot. He just says, I do nothing wrong. I just make your wishes come true. In many ways, he is like a genie, devil genie.
Yeah, he's like a persona. Yeah, he's like a human djinn, like the one in the Last Wish that bring Geralt and Yennefer together. It's really good. But again, this is like game canon, so it's not. Yeah. Anyway, Nilfgaard.
Well, when it comes to canon, the way that I see it is that anything books and game is canon. Netflix is not canon, because they. Don't get me started on.
It's a black elf.
Well, that I can sort of give that, but what they did to Fringilla Vigo is.
She's supposed to look like Yennefer, and they are completely different races.
Well, she's meant to be. I think Fringilla Vigo. She's meant to be part or well. I know she's like she serves in Nilfgaard, for example.
Yeah, she's from somewhere in the north.
She's from somewhere in the north, but no, she becomes she adopts the culture and what was it? Isn't her father? I think.
Oh no, she isn't. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say her father is a sorcerer as well.
I think she's from Tucson, actually.
Oh, so she might have. If she's from Tucson, that means she would have been born within the Nilfgaardian Empire, or maybe just before it.
I can't remember. I might be.
Actually, how old is she?
Old.
She must be older than. She must be the same age as Yennefer, I'd imagine.
Oh, she's around the same age as Anna Henrietta. She's a second cousin of hers. So.
Really?
Yeah, she's second cousin of Anna Henrietta. Who is Duchess of Tucson, by the way, people.
Yeah, she's the Duchess of Tucson, and again, Tucson is. If you read the books, the one place, because this thing Nilfgaard isn't really referenced much in the books at all, like compared to Redania or Temeria or any of the other northern kingdoms. But the one area in the books that Nilfgaard is referenced a lot because it's within the Nilfgaard realm is Tucson, and it's the one area that's really heavily referenced, and you see or the books introduce Nilfgaard Guardian characters through that. But yeah, so that means she would have been born. She wouldn't have been considered Nilfgaardian, but she would have been born within the boundaries of the Nilfgaardian Empire.
Possibly. Tucson's quite northern as well, considering. Yeah. But
I got the map up here. I believe Tucson is up here. because
I think it's
that's
even further north than that. It's right in the mountains on the east. Yeah, go back to the start.
Because Sintra's here, Tucson. Now I thought Tucson was up here actually near Lyria and Rivia.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I was thinking a bit further north, but even then, that's at the start of the books. That's still in the realm, but at the start of the books, I'm not sure actually. Because Anna Henrietta looks quite young in the games, but she's supposed to be about 50. So she'll have been about 40 in the books.
Because Dandelion in the game is like 50, isn't he?
he's really old. But I think there's some line about him either using sorcerers or magical potions to try and make him look young, because he does look about 30 in the game.
Yeah, I think in the game, the DLC Tucson, they say what keeps your complexion so young, and it's basically the wine, the royal wine or something. That's like the sort of in-game get out of canon inconsistency.
Which in a world of magic, it's kind of like, oh, he's probably put something in it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's probably fine. Yeah. But yeah, Tucson is it's along the border. It's along the border there.
It is a vassal though. But they don't take on the religion. I think
they don't.
No.
I think when they went, I think like with Ferguson, Fergus even, and Emir, they weren't like, they weren't like trying to convert and sort of Nilfgaardianize the population, because that's not really what they wanted. They just wanted sort of political power. And also, I mean, this is the thing: the Nilfgaardians are very isolationist and very protective of their own culture. Hence, why they have like these stringent rules about who's really a Nilfgaardian. Because I mean, from that you would think, okay, everyone on the south of the map's Nilfgaardian. Well, actually, no, it's only like a small percentage of people at the bottom here in the core territories. But no, I mean, no, the Tucson, they still have their like their own prophet, prophet gods. Basically Jesus. It's basically Jesus. Because they reference it, because he's like, oh, he walks on water and everything, and get your Geralt. You get in DLC, you can run on like that lake and.
I'm walking on water, just like who? Oh, water skeeter. I was gonna say, but it's like they do kind of insinuate Jesus, but it's like it doesn't exist in the Witcher world.
No, but they sort of did like a inside joke on that, and and you got like Nazaire as well, and probably what you were referencing to is like earlier, the northern sort of, they got like to Nazaire and Tucson. It was like, and Matina as well is where they started coming across the mages and sorceresses and the sort of people that would be more frequent in the northern kingdoms, and so that the further that the empire expanded, the more involved that they would get, and especially within the lodge of the lodge of the sorceresses, or the lodge, just the lodge, isn't it?
The lodge. That's that only came about in the books. And with Tucson, I've just quickly read the wiki. Who is it? Duchess Adela Marta in the 12th century actually married Emperor Torres, and that's why now Tucson is a autonomous duchy, but pays tribute to Nilfgaard. So that's a political union, not a. Yeah, because I was going to say there's no way that they invaded, because it's like Sparta. It's just surrounded by mountains. So that explains the relationship there. But I think the rest of the vassals are either, the further south you go, the less they had to invade. Is basically the how it worked.
Because I knew they weren't conquered. I wasn't too sure how. I mean, I just assumed that the Nilfgaard just rolled up one day and just said, "By the way, you're going to be serving our liege." And it's like, because the thing is, they sort of pride themselves on not being like militaristic or.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because in Blood and Wine, it's all about being a chivalrous knight, and that does include the tourney, so that does include combat.
That's like individual sort of pursuit of honor.
True.
I mean, it's not like because the thing is, like, if you take Nilfgaard's, like, you have like the odd one or two knights who are notable, but it's all about the collective and the collective's work, and the thing is, like, if you had like a couple thousand black ones turning up in Tucson, just marching down the valley.
Tucson I'd defend. They're surrounded by mountains. So they'll definitely have an advantage there. And
I think the problem is if like the Nilfgaardians, if there was like an invasion and they just if they got beyond the mountains, like into the valley itself, I think because even like the city itself, like their capital, there isn't actually. It's not like a walled city, is it? There's no walls around it.
It's an old elven palace.
Yeah,
and elven palaces weren't really made for defense. But having said that, it is on a massive. It's kind of like a hill fort, because it is quite a mountainous area. So you can kind of use natural defenses for that.
Yeah,
but it's not like the other places. You know, it's not like what's Temeria's capital? Vizima.
There's Vizima.
Yeah, it's not like Vizima. That's a walled city. It's not like Novigrad, walled city.
No, or like land, like Redania. That's it. Oh God, I'm having a stroke.
Can't remember the capital though. And even Kaer Morhen.
Lan Exeter is the capital of Redania. Right. Which
is what?
Redania's capital is Lan Exeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got Oxenfurt, which is like
that's just it's got a river around it basically. That's like an island.
Yeah, and I mean it's sort of it's got like a military port as well. So I guess maybe
it's more a university town though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a university town. Obviously it's like meant to be Oxford.
Yeah.
Sort of wink, wink, and everything. I thought they should have had like an Oxenfurt and like a Cambridge or something like that, or like.
I don't know. I can't even. I'm not that imaginative. This one, I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
And then, but this is the point though. It's not. Tucson's not as militaristic as everywhere else, but I still think they'd put up a fight. I
think they would. I mean, like if people don't know, with like The Witcher, the DLC, when it came to, because like one of the most, I guess one of the most powerful beings in the Witcher world is the vampires, probably without a doubt. And I always remember the vampires in the Witcher world, because you got like your lesser ones, which are like the monsters, but then you have your high vampires and they are sentient beings like elves and humans. They have their own societies, they have their own factions, and I think they have their own plane of existence, which is like got their own like kingdoms and such. And there was like when the Conjunction of Spheres happened, the vampires emerged in what's now Toussaint, and I think they had there was like one clan set up shop in Toussaint, and they naturally had fighting with the humans, and of course in Witcher 3 the sort of towards the end of the DLC the vampires and the knights and the sort of Duchy of Toussaint basically go to war with each other.
It's a very one-sided battle.
Yeah,
I think it's the best way to put it.
I mean, I tell you what, what's her name? Henrietta.
Anna
Yeah,
Henrietta.
when she said they will not threaten us, we will go to war. I actually got some real like Margaret Thatcher vibes from her. Especially like with the Falklands. It was just like
she's a really good character in the games and in the books actually.
And in the book she's very powerful individual, and I think just goes to show. I mean, like
Dandelion still tries to shag her.
Yeah, and
as usual.
I mean, he can't. I mean,
well, he nearly marries her.
He does, but then he when he pulls he pulls the usual one, and then he's like permanently banned from returning to the duchy, and if he does, it's the automatic death sentence. So
you still, depending on what you do, actually, you can return in Witcher 3 to Tucson, but it's just,
it is funny, and I find it interesting. I mean, it's a bit of a side note with Tucson, but I find it interesting that Geralt decides, like, I don't know if this is like canon at all, but the fact that he decides to retire in Tucson, I thought was quite, because I'm surprised he didn't like decide to retire like in like Covis or somewhere like the Northern Realm.
Well, depending how the main storyline ends, you're either I can't remember where you are with Yennefer, but you go to Covey with Triss, and if you screw them both over, you end up just keep witchering basically. But the only reason he really retires in Tucson is because he gets that house for free. Or that's the only real reason. But even then, either women likes it there, or Ciri does, and then Dandelion obviously visits if you manage to completely fuck up the main storyline.
Because he gets Corvo de Blanco, I think that's like the
Corvo Blanco,
so
Vineyard,
it's the Vineyard, and it's quite good. I mean, I think if they do the next Witcher game, they should probably. I mean, personally, I don't know about you, but the next Witcher game, I know what I'd like to see, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to do it from Ciri's point of view, because she is an established character at this stage, and they sort of teased like gameplay from the third one. So it'd be interesting to see if Corvo de Blanco makes a return in that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the main issue I can see with that game is what do you do with Ciri, because she can't actually use signs. She loses that ability when she plays with fire, quite literally. But she can still do that warping stuff. So I don't know. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that, because I think they are in development of it. But
because the thing is, I mean, one of the problem with the games is, whenever she's in danger, she can just warp out of there, and so I imagine in the game they would have to remove that ability, like certain abilities, like from her.
They could tweak it. I don't know, because you could roll away as Geralt. Obviously, it wasn't as effective, but you could still get out of any fight you wanted to with enough skill. But yeah, it's like the bit where you're playing as Ciri and you're escaping through the bog. I mean, I never fight anything there. I just keep using a warp ability, and you just go straight out of there. But I know what you mean. So I mean, is there much else to say on the vassals? I mean, Tucson seems to be the most interesting one. The rest of them kind of blend into each other.
I mean, I probably could be talked about the flags sort of briefly.
The sun.
So I mean, obviously down on the map here, you've got the Imperial sort of core territories with the eagle and everything, and so that's like that, and what you see with the neighboring sort of conquests and vassals, like, because some of them have the sort of Nilfgaardian emblem, part of the coat of arms, and some of them just have ordinary coat of arms, and I think it depends on how each one was integrated into the Nilfgaard Empire. So, like, if you take like the vassals to the south, they were pretty much, they willingly joined. But then if you go further north to like Sintra, Nizir, probably around there, I think, especially with Sintra, it was just full on out conquest, and and slaughter. And then they put and then Emir put his own people in charge there. After the royal household there was killed off completely. And so yeah, that's probably what I've got to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Nilfgaard is that there's not an awful lot of the books is set in like the Nilfgaardian controlled realms. And the best you can really get out of it is a few pages in each book of talking about Nilfgaard, and then in the games you've obviously got the logs. So it's there's not an awful lot to say on these really, aside from what we've already said. And the only one that you get a main setting in is Tucson, which really it's autonomous anyway. So I guess you could say it's quite diverse, the vassals, the way they work and the way they've been invaded, I guess.
I think Tucson is probably because it was like a marriage, so it was like a union of marriage, like with England and Scotland in many ways. No, sorry, not in. Yeah, I guess I mean, I know it's probably not the best. A better example of real life would probably be Poland and Lithuania, because that was like a union of marriage back in like the 1500s, 1400s even. But yeah, so they had like a better deal out of that, and than any others. I've just had a look at the chat. Obviously, I got a couple of trolls in chat calling us nerds, who and who I will not talk about. And just thank you, Michael Olaf, for pointing out. It's Banard Academy is in Kedwin. Yeah. That's the one I was thinking of, Banard Academy in Kedwin, that I referenced about, like a major school in Kedwin. And I think Geralt went to He didn't like go there as a pupil, but I think he actually like went round there, like visited round there.
Banard. Oh God, I can't remember. I know he kept going to that place with all the women.
Yeah, that was in the Last Wish when he was all healed up. Yeah. After the battle with the demonic daughter, the false test.
Yeah, and he shags some of the women in there as well, doesn't he? Well, it's literally in the first page, actually.
Yeah, like literally half of them. And then like the matron comes in, it's like, what the fuck are you still doing here? Pull yourself together, get out.
Stop shagging the women.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. The racist witcher on the planet.
Yeah, and then and then Ciri's sent there for a bit, isn't she? To the same place. What's it called? Oh God, I can't remember what it's called at the moment. But yeah, and I actually quite like those bits in the book, because like it's basically just there for world building. But like in one of the bits set there, Geralt just has a 4-page rant about what it's like to become a Witcher, and I knew it all from the games, but hearing him rant about it and basically hate the fact that he is one was great, because then for the rest of the time he's like, oh, but I don't want to be anything else, which is it's kind of I don't know, shows that he's accepted that he's had to go through suffering and pain to be something that may be shit, but at least he's finds meaning in it, I guess. Until he finds Ciri.
Yeah, I think Ciri gives him purpose to be to be the best Witcher that he can be. And I was just going to point out, I believe that in Nilfgaard, the School of the Cat originates in Nilfgaard.
Well, the thing is with Witcher schools, they're usually in like really old and disused forts, like, because Kaer Morhen is really out in the middle of nowhere, and I think that's kind of the same for the rest of them. But I think School of the Cat is the southern one, which does make sense because they wear really light armor, which I assume is to keep them cool, and they're more assassiny, and it makes sense that he was School of the Viper. I'm thinking of the guy from Witcher 2, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Those are the Viper, and then you.
Yeah.
I mean, the School of the Cat. I mean, they're the ones that have they're the ones that give the Witchers, I think, the bad. Sorry, it's the bad name. They're the ones because they're the ones that are used for political assassinations, like the Viper, I guess. And the more northern schools are a bit more traditional. That they just, I'm thinking of the School of the Wolf and I guess the Bear. If I remember, is the School of the Bear extinct? That we know of, yeah.
Yeah, Bear's extinct. The only ones left, I think, are the Cat, Wolf, and Griffin. Well, and Viper if you go by the games, which is why in where what's it called? Leo Bonhart has the 3 medallions.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I didn't know the Griffin was still going actually. But
I think
it makes sense actually because I mean that they were. I'm just going to. I'm just trying to think. The Griffin, they were the. I mean, they were the northern ones, but I'm just trying to think where were they located. I think it was it Lyria?
I can't remember. There's a lot to try and remember.
I mean, they're the medium armor as well. They're more like trooper.
Yeah, Wolf and Griffin tend to be medium armor, and then Bear was obviously heavy armor.
They're in Covin Povis or Corviri or Dragon Mountains. So I mean, so they have chapters all over the place, really.
Is that the?
Is that the Griffin?
The Griffin, right, yeah.
Yeah. So
the wolf only has the one, at least in the books.
Yeah.
Kaer Morhen, yeah. And they're still training at the start of the Witcher games, but then they just give up by Witcher 3 because obviously Kaer Morhen gets
BTFO'd by farmers.
Yeah, he gets ruined. And School of the Cat is a mobile base, according to Michael Olif. It's good to see we've got Witcher fans.
It's a mobile. Yeah, it makes sense because they're
Well, they're cats, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they're cats, and they operate, and as I said, they operate quite closely with sort of wealthy noble families to do the assassinations and such. So, I mean, I don't even. I think that with the cat, they're not really into the whole monster hunting aspect. They pretty much just they do the political assassinations and such. They're not really into.
Witches are quite weird by the time of the books and games because they're kind of falling out of fashion because monsters aren't actually there aren't as many as they used to be, basically.
They sort of, and then because of the knowledge of making witches is effectively thanks to the villain in the first Witcher game. I'm not the professor. Is it the professor or the doctor?
In Witcher 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Knights of the Flaming Rose and such. That the secrets to making witches is effectively lost forever. And
because they nick it. Yeah, I remember now.
They nick it, and then it sort of ends up being destroyed, and that's the thing because obviously the School of the Wolf goes down to it goes down to 3 at the end of it. Maybe even 2.
Well, it depends what you count Ciri as. It depends if she becomes a Witcher at the end as well. Yeah. But they did start killing humans as well as monsters because they got they ruined the formula for the cats, and instead of having them less emotional witches, they had more emotional witches than humans. And then these emotional witches took over the school and made more emotional witches, and then they were just obviously that they couldn't not get into human politics after that, apparently. So
and I think effectively the only like reputable Witcher school was the Wolf for many years, and I will probably even up until the latest The Witcher 3. There's many. You have like a couple of characters that say, "Oh, which school do you belong to?" The Wolf, and they go, "Oh, I hear good things out of the Wolf and everything." So the school of the Wolf are quite well known.
Well, it's and even in Witcher 3, when you had the side quest where you had the school of the cat guy, and he slaughtered that whole village. You have the option to say to him like, "It's your school is the reason that like the rest of us witches get a bad rep." And then I think every time I've played that mission, I've just killed him because he pisses me off. But I've never let him go, so should see what dialogue's like for that. But
I've let him go because the way that I see, and there's actually a good dialogue scene. If you let him go, it's basically Geralt says, "Listen, I know how it goes. There's a reason I'm called the Butcher Blaviken. Sometimes pitchforks come out and swords start flying."
Why would he use Blaviken for that example? Like, you did nothing wrong there.
No, but to be fair, I think because the school of the cat guy, he basically argues that the Elderman and such led him into like this barn for the rewards, and then like the farm basically they corner him with pitchforks and stab him, and I think because if you with Blaviken, it's basically Geralt steps in to protect to stop this pogrom going on, and he is surrounded.
Town,
and then it's like this scrawny little shit just like impales him with like a scythe or something.
Geralt or the cat?
The Geralt. Oh no, not scythe. He like impale. He like runs him through with a
pitchfork.
Pitchfork. That's it. Yeah.
That's at the end of the books, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And and I think also Yennefer is she's pretty much death's door as well, and then that's when Ciri turns up and
takes she sails them off somewhere.
To the Isle of Avalon. The Isle of Avalon.
And then in the games they get picked up by the Wild Hunt and healed, which is well, there you go. That's the story leading up there.
That's the story. What I got on the screen here, the First Northern Wars, is basically we just this is like when Emir sort of takes over. So Ciri at the time, she is living with her grandmother, who is the Queen of Sintra, and as referenced, again, spoilers for the Netflix viewers out there. Dunny, who is like he is Emir, shock horror. Ciri, I am your father, or something like that. No, Ciri, I am your father.
He didn't even go for it. He basically started a war to get her back, and it's the whole point of trying to get her back was to marry her, basically, for a union between Nilfgaard and Sintra. Or at least that was the plan after the first sacking, and she went missing. Why are they after her in the first place? Because there's about 5 different factions after Ciri, and all of them have completely different reasons.
I think. I do think there is an. I'm just trying to think because I think it was. I think like with Emir, a lot of it was personal because he just really didn't like the Queen of Sintra. Was it Calanthe?
Calanthe.
Yeah, she really didn't like her. And also, expansion. You had a huge military, and the people. I imagine people in the military wanting more wars, more foreign wars. And so I imagine there was quite there was multiple reasons. But for what I mean, I think Syria was the main thing, but I think also like the reason why he sacked Sintra was because of the fact that when he was done and he turned up at the court, and she sort of, I guess, like laughed at him and just didn't take him seriously.
When he was a hedgehog.
Yeah, when he was a hedgehog, yeah. And
well, it was worse than that. She hired Geralt to kill him when he turned up, because she's like, "Oh, you kill monsters. We might expect problems here." So, well, in the show, he just happened to be there because he needed to be there with Dandelion. But which, to be honest, I'm not too bothered about that rewrite, right? Because it got, Yasuke is really good in the show, and it wasn't like too contrived, I thought. But either way, he ends up sitting next to Calanthe, and Calanthe's like, "Please kill this hedgehog." Which obviously both times ends up in a brawl with Geralt trying to protect the hedgehog.
Yes,
man, aka Emir.
So, so from my perspective, it looks like that Emir, his decision to basically wipe out the entire city was so that no one could know of the hedgehog past, because obviously the risk of that coming out if he just let the city continue, and the nobility who were present at that ballroom, because if that got out, he would have been mocked relentlessly. It would have damaged him heavily as an emperor. I mean, it would have pretty much ruined him. And
because I remember it on my first read through of it. I didn't realize that Dooney and Emir were the same person. So obviously Calanthe, I think, will have known that, but he probably did a good job of not letting people know that his alias is Dooney and the hedgehog was, also Emir, because they did look completely different, and I think even it had to be explained to Geralt at one point that Dooney and Emir are the same person. So
I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's not even like in the book. It's not like a grand reveal or anything. It just it's sort of.
It's literally like, oh yeah, these two same person.
They're the same person, and the best bit is like Geralt doesn't really bat an eyelid. It's like, oh okay. Anyway,
yeah, which is classic.
So yeah. It's, but yeah, it's not like this grand reveal. But yeah, he in response to and this is what I like about the Netflix show, and I will admit this: the actual battle scene, like the sacking of Sintra, was epic as hell.
It was good. Well, both the battle scenes were, because they had that field battle, which was quite nice, and then the actual siege. Sodden I liked as well. Sodden was quite good. One thing I don't like about Nilfgaard actually in the show is they keep making it out like they'll just kill. They make it out like they will kill mages just to make a smoke screen and things like that. And like the amount of mages that die for dark magic in that show is ridiculous, because that's like Fringilla wasn't really like that. She wouldn't just let sorcerers die, even for a mission like that.
No, I know. I mean, that is really out of character, because in reality they would have just let some like levy, like just some random Nilfgaardian levy with a spear take the brunt. Because the thing is, especially with Nilfgaard, like their mages, especially like the battle mages, are quite rare, and you wouldn't like, as you said, you wouldn't like sacrifice them, the key asset of your military on a whim, especially with I mean, effectively it's the job of like the levy sort of spearmen on the front line to be killed if needs be, to be used as a pawn.
It's like when they when Calanthe died, and they're trying to find out where Ciri went, so they like go through the back of the memories by they like slit a wrist, he eats a bit of a skin, then starts having a seizure, and then he gets his guts cut open by Fringilla, who then feels around his guts and then goes, "Oh, she went to the forest that way" or something. It's like, fuck me, that's not what they would do. There's so many better ways that you can follow tracks and things like that. It's and what's it called? Cahir saw where she went. So because Cahir had her on his horse, didn't he? And then obviously the ground split, and then he got shouted away from her. So they wouldn't even need that anyway. Cahir's still on the Nilfgaardian side. He can just go, "Yeah, she ran that way. Let's find her."
And
like,
also,
fucking hell.
I know. I mean, I mean, they go to great lengths, like ridiculous lengths, like just. I mean, like literally. I mean, because Fringilla just comes across as a complete psychopath.
Which she just isn't. In the book, she's like, cause she's actually quite a seductive person because she's trying to keep Geralt in Tucson for, as long as she can, to stop him trying to find Ciri. So you could say, "Oh, that's quite psychotic," but it's like you got to realize every sorceress does that. So yeah, she's as psychotic, I guess, as the other sorceresses, who are all psychotic because, I mean, I like that in the show how they become sorceresses. Although I don't get why if they fail they then have to be turned into eels, but it's kind of insinuated that when they're turned into wheels, their magic is slowly powering Thaned. A lot could have been done better in that show. But yeah, I think the main point I'm trying to get across is that if you've seen the show, Book Nilfgaard is not as psychotic and just as into black magic as all that. So yeah.
I think the only accurate thing is probably the brutality of like your rank and file Nilfgaardian soldier when they went into Sintra, because I mean in the book they describe it as pretty much they just kill everybody, burn everything. And
it was so bad that the women would kill their children and then their husbands would kill them and then the men would have to commit suicide, because that is probably better than what the Nilfgaardians are going to do to you.
I remember reading it. I mean, in many ways, I'm obviously they could. Well, Netflix, recent content produced by Netflix, they've been showing a lot of disturbing things. But they.
Oh no! What are they got to do with Ciri?
Oh God,
the actress is 20.
Is she 20 in real life?
Yeah, she's over age. Yeah.
Oh.
She's like Maisie Williams. She is old, but she just looks really young.
Well, Netflix doesn't really care about consistency of actress they have per season.
True. Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean, because there is in the next season there's going to be an incident where Ciri is like effectively nearly raped by a knight, so that will be interesting.
I thought that was later. She nearly gets raped twice in it, from what I remember, and then in the end, when she does get captured in the end, they try and artificially inseminate her with elf blood, elf semen, I should say. Ciri has a bad time.
She does, and I'm just trying to think. I'm certain it's in Blood of Elves. She gets raped, or not raped, but she's like attempted rape. I mean, the actual description of it is basically the knight sort of says, "Hush now, child," and starts unbuttoning her, her shirt and everything.
I thought that was one of the rats, and then he basically gets told to piss off by one of the rat leader, who's a girl, and then they start a lesbian relationship. So essentially, Ciri then gets raped by a girl instead. But she likes it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
No, what I remember from the knight was that the knight got wounded, and he was basically saying, he basically said, "Oh, show us your tits while I'm dying." That's basically what he says. And then Ciri basically says, "Oh, all right," because she's like, "I want to know what it's like anyway." But then he dies, kind of just as she unbuttons it, and then she's like, she actually gets quite annoyed at it, from what I remember. But I'll have to read it again. But yeah, that's I remember that happening. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much that's the sum of the First Northern War, the Battle of Sodden and the slaughter of Sintra. Because at Sodden, like 14. Well, they think 14 sorcerers die, don't they?
Yeah, but like Netflix like version of it, bloody hundreds of sorcerers die, especially on Nilfgaardian side. God.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it is annoying, isn't it? Like mages are supposed to be rare, but Netflix is like, oh, with Nilfgaard, there's fucking thousands of them. They use them as smoke screens. As I said, oh, I'm gonna have to make a video on it. It's gonna have to happen.
I mean it's it's something I was watching. I'm just thinking, oh God. And the trouble is, I don't even think like I'm thinking again. I don't remember any like because in the series, Fringilla is basically like the general like grand commander of the entire army, effectively. And
Yeah,
from what I remember, she wasn't. I mean, she might have commanded a unit, but she. I mean, you had like I mean, you had like Emir and such, but you had like Varus and all those like Nilfgaardian noble like generals that appear in the Witcher games as well. They're the ones that are present in. Oh, here, like here we go. It's like Menno Cahoon, who is like who's I think the father of the Cahoon that you meet in Witcher. Yeah, I mean, he's the one that's commanding it, and he's the one that's fucking burning everything down in the city. But when it comes to Southern, I think that's where the North, that's where they defeat them at the Battle of Southern. And so they take Sintra. Like Sintra is sacked, and the Queen, she commits suicide and everything. And yeah, the first war ends there, but
yeah, so the Battle of Sun, allegedly 14 sorcerers die from the northern side, and I think because it is only supposed to be Fringilla who's on the Nilfgaardian side, and she is basically there to try and minimize the magical attacks on them, which kind of works, but obviously they end up losing. But she's basically the reason that quite a lot of the sorcerers die. Whereas obviously in the show, it's like she's got hundreds of bloody mages on her side as well, making smoke screens by killing themselves. I'm not going to get over that. It's just especially just one more rant. Especially when we know on like the northern side they have these bottles of explosives that absolutely ruin the fort. Like you can surely make smoke versions of that are as effective as killing someone.
And also for another thing, why smoke screen? Like the actual battlefield of Sodden is like
it's covered in trees.
It's trees, yeah, exactly. It's like what the fuck? I mean, if it was like an open plain or something, then yeah, maybe. But apart from that, there's no bloody excuse to use it. I mean, it's like if I was the general, I'd be going around. I mean, like I'd be going around to him and saying, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I'm sorry. It's because it's written by bloody women. That's the only reason that happened. Well, they say that, but then Game of Thrones season 8, they had the trebuchets in front of the infantry. So it's not even that we can blame it on the women. But
but
that's a whole different conversation.
Some of the battlefield tactics. I think it was like somebody who's like a reaction video to like the battlefield tactics. Who's like medieval historian to the Witcher, and
and
he was like,
was it?
I think it was that one, and he was just sitting there going like looking at it and thinking, oh, he was sighing a lot, especially like with the like even the sacking of Sintry, he was like, oh, they got to the gates pretty quickly. I mean, like, where's the wall guy?
All they had, I remember all they had for the Battle of Sintra was the mage having a wall around it. And that was it. Like they left the portcullis open. They didn't have any bloody archers.
Didn't they even have like oil, like tar
and
oil or something on the wall, like just to rain down on them? It's like
literally you are relying on your one mage. Yeah. Oh god, that show was a mess. I enjoyed it though. But it was a mess. But read the books anyway. Anyway, religion and culture. Come on, politics.
Yeah. So I'm combining the two with this one because there's not enough on religion and culture to have separate slides for this.
Yeah, I mean the books in general don't really talk about religion, do they?
No, not really. No, I mean there's sort of like loose references here and there. But like, I mean, we don't even know if Geralt is religious at all in any sort of way. I don't know if they really are. I mean,
it's not explicitly said one way or the other, really. Yeah, but
no.
I mean, yeah, it's only the games really where they focus on it, which is interesting. But
well, I think because you're building a world and you need to you need to express it in like I mean, like I'm just thinking like Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 games. They don't really. I mean, there's not even. I mean, you have like this one mad like Witcher 2. There's like this one mad like northern priest who confronts you and says, "Be gone from this sacred place, demon," and you can just like punch him in the face. In front of Foltest, but I mean, like in Witcher 3, there's a lot of references to, the eternal fire and
which is made up for the game, yeah,
made up for the game. But I mean, with this one, we talk about the cult. It's basically an elven religion which has just morphed into Nilfgaardian faith. And I mean, like for instance, like the Nilfgaardians, because they're obviously known as the Black Ones, part of their religion is wearing black. It's I guess part of the traditional aspect, because I think even Geralt makes like a reference of it, like the choices of clothing. He just goes black, black, or black.
Oh yeah.
So there's it's the Imperial Religion. It's predominantly in the southern part of the empire. I mean, as we said, like places like Toussaint and Sintra. I imagine it's not widely followed by people outside of the Nilfgaardian clique.
Yeah, because there are Nilfgaardian ambassadors in Toussaint, so I imagine it's mainly that lot who are religious for the Golden Sun.
Yeah, but there's no like converts or like native followers. It's just it's the only people who would be following it would be Nilfgaarders themselves, and and there's an interesting bit here. Like all holidays are celebrated with great pomp and ceremony and everything, which is probably like a legacy of the elven stuff. There's a lot of pomp and ceremony with that, and it's got solemn music, and it's very goth. I mean, it's like a gothic religion, isn't it? Really, like Goth's religion. And it has like all the commanders, aristocrats, and games, and there's a lot of. I think P-Man said, "What's the like?" Nilfgaard's favorite beverage.
Nilfgaardian lemon.
Yeah,
yeah. Lemon. It's like limoncello, I imagine.
Yeah. I don't think they do the Nilfgaardians drink alcohol? I don't even know if they do. To be honest, I imagine they probably do.
Well, they probably. I mean, it's probably more classy than anything, but it's not like the Northerns who drink a load of ale.
Well, no, because that's the. But this is the thing. Like all of their traditions, like food and beverages, is all directly from Elven tradition. And like wearing black and the cult, the priests wear white and remnants and embroidered with gold and silver and such. And casual clothes they wear black. So yeah, it's all. I mean, it's all like linked to Elven society. And
oh,
yeah,
there wasn't much to say on that. Oh, fair enough.
oh dear. Let me stop sharing for a minute.
Did you want more?
I'm doxing myself.
Oh no. His name's not Al.
No. Ignore the fucking. I remember a day when you had Microsoft program, you didn't have to put your fucking name in it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. To be fair, oh bloody hell!
Yeah.
I didn't dox myself on. Okay, I shouldn't have doxed myself on Jack's stream last week. That's good. But yeah, no, it's. I think the main thing I really want to say in this stream is that Nilfgaard in the books and games is not like Nilfgaard in the show.
No.
Because Nilfgaard in the show, they kind of make it want to look like it's nothing but militaristic and nothing but an imperial power. Which, to be fair, they are in the middle of a war, but especially like even when they go like back in time a bit, I don't know. You'd expect a bit more on Nilfgaard, and you'd expect something on Emir coming into power, or I guess they'll do flashback episodes on that. Because I think it'd be interesting to go in. Because I'd love a bit on the Usurper or something like that. Maybe a spin-off show, something for not Netflix doing it.
No. I think a spin-off show of maybe just a spin-off show of like as you said, like the Usurper, but also like Dunny, like how he rose to power, like because when he returned to Nilfgaardian realm, he or Emir, sorry, I should say, so I don't confuse anybody who I'm talking about. Emir, when he after the hedgehog incidents and such, when he returned to because also he thought that because the Ciri's mother, the one that he slept with, they
married. Yeah,
he married and everything. Oh yeah, married and everything. I forgot that part. Married and everything. He thought that she drowned. If I remember correctly, was it like an accident?
Yeah, they were on a ship. It's kind of implied that he may have assassinated her. I remember that being implied. Yeah, but they were both because I think she was on a ship, some political travel or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then because I think he wanted to be free to marry again, basically, and then he chose to marry his own daughter. Which, they have a fake Ciri, don't they? Who he tries to marry, and there's a whole chapter in the book where you're doing it from the fake Ciri's point of view, and Emir is basically saying you're basically just a political tool. You'll have a good life, but you'll be living a lie, essentially.
So, some cultures in The Witcher are not as good as others.
There are some isolationist ones like the who are the woman elves in the forest? The dryads.
Yeah.
God, they fuck them up in the show as well completely.
God, yeah.
It's like they're supposed to be
Jamaicans. The Jamaicans, if you didn't know.
Yeah, they're supposed to be these, naturalist elves who are green and live in the forest, and their best defense is their bow and arrow. So in the show, they made them into Amazonian black women with crossbows. By the way, how the fuck they have the engineering to use crossbows, I don't know. Especially when bows and arrows look so much fucking cooler. Because
the dryads was absolutely cringe to watch. It really was, but like a spin-off of like Emir's Rise to Power would be quite interesting, on it, but obviously not by Netflix because they'll probably fuck it up somehow.
They'll probably have a load of like naked kids in it just for fucking pedos. I don't know.
The pedo vote, and then they would like turn like Usurper like a black lesbian that he's overthrown, racist or something.
AA's perfect PM, yeah.
I'll just go through some people in the chat who P-Man, no, wrong.
What's he said?
Caesar's Legion cucks them all. No, let's be honest. Caesar's Legion would be the ones that be cucked by Emir. Emir's a very competent commander. That's why he's so successful. Ignore these chaps. Subscribe to. what's this? In all these chats, subscribe to the teabag who lost. Long Lucian Pink.
He's a friend of the channel. Of my channel anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the teabag lost because I've seen him on Twitter. He's a quite good fellow. Sebastian Bruges. What I turn on YouTube, come across Haryan and Al Tori stream about Nilfgaard, Sintra, and IRL Mercia forever. Well, I'm glad you come across that.
Yeah, sorry, I've just been reading up on Pavetta, Dooney's wife, or Emir's first wife.
Yeah.
Essentially, he conspired to have her and Ciri by Vilgefortz, the new Nilfgaardian mage, to have them both brought to Nilfgaard, but Pavetta found out, so left Ciri with Calanthe in Sintra, and then the Dooney and Vilgefortz then argued she fell overboard and drowned, so I think it was an assassination. But it's kind of just implied and never confirmed. But yeah, it's the type of emperors we have.
She hit her head about 50 times on the deck and drowned by accident.
Yeah.
Epstein styled.
Yeah, two bullet holes in the back of the head.
Yeah. That's what you get when you cross the Clintons. Right. Okay. Let's carry on before I get. So, yeah, actually, that's a good point. This is something I would raise. Yen is the best girl. Sorry, Triss simps.
I was a Triss simp when I first played Witcher 3, and then I read the books and played the other two games, and then I ended up hating Triss and loving Yennefer. Even though Yennefer's a bit of a bitch, but every sorceress is.
I mean, I never got really into Triss because American accents and all.
Yeah, but ginger big tits, I can't resist.
Yeah. I mean, I think in my first walkthrough of game, I think I just banged them both and I lost them both, and then Ciri died, and I really fucked up the first walkthrough of my game.
Oh my god! I don't even know. I don't understand how people don't get the good fuck up the Ciri storyline. It's like just be a good dad.
I didn't but I thought it was because I'm not pressurizing her into guilt tripping her after Vesemir dies. I just say to her, "Oh, you don't have to be good at everything." It's like, well, it's a true statement. You have to be good at everything.
Yeah, but to be fair with that one, you don't expect to then go on a fucking sesh with her. Yeah, no, but I went with the snowball fight one.
Yeah, that was, and I'm just trying. Encouraging her to commit criminal damage.
Is that when you help her rob the horses?
Well, no, not just that one, but Avalok's man cave, and she just sees etchings, and she has to run in with that female elf, and then she goes, "That's it, I want to smash things up." And it's like, now the appropriate father would say, "No, let's be sensible. We'll just leave." And we'll discuss it like adults, and you just go, "Oh, the other option, which is the good option, was no, fucking smash everything up. Let's teach this elven prick a lesson." And
to be fair, Avalok is a bit of a bellend, but
you
are right.
Yeah, he's a bellend and everything. He's bellend in the books as well. He's a massive dick, and
no, I agree with that one. And but it's like the one where you're like, when a friend dies from Skellige, and he's like, your choices are go to the grave with her or tell her now there's no time.
You go to the grave because that's obviously it's
and then she punches a Skellige in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. There's awkward in-game pause with it where she just stand there for a second and just goes
slap. Yeah. It's good. It's really well acted actually. I thought. I can't remember the other choice, but and then she can end up actually being Emperor of Nilfgaard if you take her to Emir. But Yeah, I remember second time going through it, I actually went to Amir, and then I did all the good choices because I knew them, and I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna get the Witcher ending, and I didn't realize she became Empress of Nilfgaard. I'm like, oh no, I got the bittersweet ending.
Yeah, the bittersweet ending, and
Yeah,
she'd probably
yeah,
be quite, because that's the thing. Like whatever happens in one of the hardest things, I guess, like for a sequel game is how would you. I mean, if it was going to be her, or it was going to be set like events after Witcher 3, what is the canon ending? Because I imagine the canon ending would probably be the good ending, her becoming a Witcher. If I'm
yeah. That's what I'd assume is the canon ending. I guess what they could do is they're doing it with Cyberpunk. You can have 3 different starting points on Cyberpunk, so they
oh,
could
that's
do that.
interesting.
So they could do like, oh, she's Empress, and then she leaves a region in charge while she has to do, I don't know, some witchering for some reason. They can write it. It's not my issue. And then obviously, yeah, when she's witchering around, there's another issue. Well, it can be the same issue. I don't know. I don't even know what it'd be. Some of the
I would
old
think.
Wild Hunter trying to, raid in Nilfgaard or something.
I was thinking as like a possible starting, because I was thinking like multiple starting points, because that's quite a good
Yeah,
observation because of what they're doing at the moment.
yeah,
I'm thinking like maybe like on all 3 starting points you hear that Geralt and Yennefer or Geralt and whoever has gone missing from their manor in Toussaint, and you go there and it's like ransacked and everything, and it's basically like you search for Geralt.
Well, yeah, well, in true Witcher style, to be fair, it could be any of them. So it's either Geralt's in. Well, no, Geralt will always be in Tucson, actually, I reckon. Especially with the end of Blood and Wine. And then he can be there with Triss or Yennefer, or by
Yeah,
himself. Yeah, there's quite a lot you could do with that, actually.
there is quite a lot. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it'd be
hopefully.
interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, if not that, then I wouldn't be against a prequel, to be honest. Um,
Yeah,
where you Geralt.
Geralt
Um,
or Vesemir,
oh,
or
with Vesemir, yeah.
but then
Or
again, because I know we know what happens to Vesemir. I don't know if it'd be. I don't. It'd be sort of. I don't know how to describe it. It wouldn't be satisfying because you would know what would happen to him ultimately. But then
well,
again, they
I don't
did it with
know.
like Red Dead, so I mean it's Red Dead
Yeah,
Redemption. So
yeah, exactly. Like, you know what happens to John Marston, you still enjoy playing as Arthur and John. Yeah, I mean, I completed that 100% the other week, and then I instantly started another game on it. That's how good I thought Red Dead 2 was.
yeah, no,
I
that's a
never
good.
even played Red Dead 1.
Oh, I played it back in the day when it came out. It
Well,
was.
I never had a PlayStation or a Xbox, and it never came to PC. So I was a bit stuck in it, unfortunately.
But the thing though with Red Dead back in the day was that it was obvious they were going to do a prequel because everything they talked about, like the gang, like oh yeah, the gang. Yeah, back in the day we
I
were,
got a
we,
plan,
we,
John.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were like all wild and everything. And I
Mm.
mean, I remember afterwards, like there was people like Angry Joe and such back in the day. They were saying, yeah, the next one is going to be a prequel. They can't do a sequel because Jack last is like utter crap. Like he's really cringe.
Jack Marston. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it was well. This is the thing because look, I watched a walkthrough of Red Dead One, years ago because obviously I couldn't play it. But I went into Red Dead Two and I thought it was a sequel, and I'm like, oh, this John Marston, I recognise his voice. I wonder if it's his son. And then it got to the end and I'm dead, and it's like, Jack Marston. Then it all pieced together. I'm like, oh, this is a prequel. So yeah, I'm actually playing it in the right order if I ever get around to playing Red Dead One. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because is Arthur ever mentioned in Red Dead One?
No, he isn't. No, that's
No.
not even ref. I mean, the only people. This is the really funny thing. Like in Red Dead One, Bill Williams is
Yeah.
heavily referenced as like along with Dutch and Javier Escuela. But in Red Dead Two, they're like. I mean, Bill's like a side character, which is a real shame because he should be. I mean, he's like the first like villain, and like in the promotional stuff originally in the game, he was like I mean, you didn't really know much about Dutch, but like Bill Williamson was meant to be like this ultra villain, like your former friend and everything. But then in the Red Dead 2, he's like this side
Kind of.
character that you
Yeah.
have like a couple
I
missions
always.
with.
Yeah, he does lead those missions, to be fair, but he's I mean, I guess the thing is you do have to like spend time in the camp with them to kind of get the full characters of them, because Bill does go on about how I'm going to lead a gang one day, and I feel I can do better sometimes. So it kind of it kind of fits in, and then
John Marston
Javier's John.
John Marston says like drunkenly to have, because like there's like a scene where John and Javier and Bill are sitting around this table all drunk, and they all say, listen, if we ever go form a gang or something, we'll ever go down to Mexico, I'm gonna go with my best friends, you guys are my best friends and everything. It's like the foreshadowing.
Yeah. Well, does it count as foreshadowing when it's already happened? In terms of what the watcher or player has seen. That's what I mean, because I see all these videos like, oh, look at all this foreshadowing, Red Dead 2. It's like, what? It's already happened.
It's already happened, Oh yeah, I see what you mean. It's already happened, not like in actual order, but like chronological order.
It's not like, well, I'm thinking back to GCSE English, but it's not like John Steinbeck where it's dog gets shot in the back of the head, and then it's like kind of foreshadowing of Lenny getting shot in the back of the head of Mice and Men, and it's Lenny getting run out of towns for tugging too hard on women's dresses, and then he ends up killing a puppy. And then he ends up killing Curly's wife as well by accident.
I remember in school we had to recreate that. It was so funny.
Oh God! I remember my English teacher was this, let's say, overweight man. He did an impression of what Curly's wife was doing whenever she went on a door frame. That was quite funny.
Oh, my English teacher, he was he was oh God, what did he have? It wasn't OCD, it was mood swings. That was it. He had like serious mood swings. I'm not joking as well. I mean, I don't want to, not going to joke. He was an all right chap. I mean, he was because I was at a boarding school, so
bloody hell.
Yeah. So we used to go like he used to take us like for like sports as well. So I mean, he was all right chap. But like there, he was. I remember once I think it was actually like a Mice and Men stuff. We were recreating the scene, and I wasn't like someone wasn't taking it seriously. He just stopped the whole like plane, just shouted like that. Get the hell out now! And he just continued and say sorry, my name, and continued with the lines, and it was like, oh, okay. But yeah. Oh God, I remember Mice and Men. It's
Yeah. It's a good one. But we've gone way off topic from Nilfgaard.
I know, Nilfgaard. I guess I think I'll just summarize Nilfgaard quickly. I think it's transition from a kingdom / expansive sort of kingdom to an empire is primarily down to Emir, and depending on what happens to the storyline in 3,
go on.
Yeah, depending on what happens to the storyline in 3, his power, Nilfgaard's power just sort of grows and expands. I think the interesting thing is, like most empires, like with that, because he's not centralized enough, like I guess like rival empires, you could say, another like fictional and real world empires. He relies heavily on vassals. So I think I can see a scenario in the future where if like the royal line, the imperial line, is effectively killed off or just naturally dies out or whatever, you can see the balkanization of Nilfgaardian empire, and it just like all those vassals. Like I can see Sintra going back to an independent state.
Tucson maybe as well.
Oh, Tucson definitely, because they've got like they've got like the Duchess and everything, so
they're autonomous anyway.
Yeah, and like Mizir and Matina and places like that.
The place that we're invaded, I guess.
Yeah,
would be the way.
And also, I mean, Temeria. I mean, I think again, depending on canon, I think even Temeria comes under. Temeria has like a similar relationship, like that Toussaint has. They become like an autonomous vassalized kingdom where they still have a monarchy, a Temerian monarchy, but above them is the Emperor of Nilfgaard.
Yeah, they are a vassal state, so they do keep some autonomy. Yeah, because I mean, how are Nilfgaard gonna even manage Temeria anyway? They're miles away.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, that's why he heavily. I mean, if you think about like the Bloody Baron, for example, I mean, that is. I think there was I mean, there's people who've done like in-depth videos on this, but there was a shortage of people to administer the lands that they conquered, because I think Emir conquered so much during the third northern wars that he wasn't expecting to move so quickly. I think through Temeria and Edwin, and also they weren't expecting Radovid to take out his ally Kedwin to the east, because
the second one.
Yeah, that was the surprise one, because no one was expecting that.
Well, technically, it wasn't Radovid doing that. It was Geralt and Roach kill Henselt, so, or just Roach, depending what path you took. But
okay, so you could
so
argue.
It's kind of like Radovid was more being an opportunist there, but yeah, it was completely unpredictable, because Roach basically, the only reason he killed him is because he raped Vez. He didn't really get him for any other reason. So it all kind of just fell in Radovid's lap.
And like Geralt can actually say to him, like, Roach, think about it, and he's like, fuck it, Geralt, slap, and everything. It's
yeah, you say whatever you want to Roach there. Henselt dies.
Henselt dies. I don't blame him though. I mean, like, because
neither do I. Yeah. Oh, I let him do it.
Yeah, I let him do it as well. I mean, it's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I hated Henselt. I never got why he was Irish. The rest of the accents in the Witcher games are really good. I really like how they make Nilfgaard French, because it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I would say they were like French Germanic in some ways. I mean, a bit Germanic, and Toussaint, they're sort of like
that's
Italian,
very French.
Southern French. And now the thing is, Kedwin, the one that Henselt's the king of, they're meant to be heavily inspired by Russia, believe it or not.
All right. Why are they Irish?
Yeah, the kingdom itself. I mean, the actors. Yeah, but Temeria. I mean, Temeria's. I mean, it's quite
just
French.
It might be in the books, but I'm thinking basically entirely of accents.
Of accents, yeah. Well, the north is basically just like Manx. It's just like populated by Manx.
Well, they're more Yorkshire, but yeah. Manchester's it's if you've got like a very urban, if you want to make urban Northsters, you use Manc accents. If you want to make more rural ones, you use Yorkshire, and that's why basically every medieval place that's emulating Northern England have Yorkshire accents. Think of the Starks in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones Starks, North,
Winter's coming.
Winter's coming. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. But yeah, they are kind of in, a French Germanic, I guess, empire. Nilfgaard, and then the more further north you go, the more English and Northern English you can become, and then Skellige's full of Irishmen as well. It's actually quite similar to Westeros when you think about it. With the.
I think it's a bit better than Westeros. I mean, controversial opinion. But
I don't know. I'd say I prefer Westeros.
I think one thing I've noticed, like, because I know that I mean, you and Jack, Economic Rudit, had like a sort of debate between which franchise is better, whether it's like Witcher or the Elder Scrolls.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah, I've never actually played an Elder Scrolls game, but I didn't want people to know that on Twitter. I put that opinion out just to piss people off, and it worked.
Because Jack went into some detail about the game world and everything, and I was just thinking, I was trying to weed out those who haven't played it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I played like 3 hours of Skyrim, but if you say combat in Skyrim's better than Witcher, I don't know what you're talking about. It's just it's very clunky in Skyrim.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's clunky. I mean, it's not like combat. It's like I mean, it's just mashing the buttons, isn't it? And it shows blocking. I mean, on the old like PS3, the blocking didn't really work either properly. It didn't work for me anyway. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but gameplay wise, I prefer Witcher. World wise as well. I mean, I can't really comment on Elder Scrolls, but there's no. How can it be better than like a 6 long book series that's based all off plus 2 games behind it? I mean, yeah, just
I place it on like I got imagine like a spectrum where on like one end is the like fantasy, like just pure fantasy, and the other end is medieval fantasy, which is slightly different. Witcher's on the medieval fantasy land. It's not like over the board like with fantasy stuff, but it has like dark, gritty, like real world sort of political intrigue.
yeah. I think
Old Scrolls doesn't really have that. They're more on like the Dungeon and Dragon sort of like fantasy level, which is fun, I guess, if you're into that.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's which is why like surely economic erudite likes Game of Thrones, or at least the politics behind it. But Witcher has loads of that. You decide you decide outcome of wars in the Witcher games. It's just, it's not the same as like yes, all right, P man. It's not the same as CK2, sure, but it's there's loads of interesting politics behind everything in it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, the Geralt makes like plenty of references that we witches, we are not, we're neutral, we don't get involved with politics. And then it's like Dijkstra just loses his shit with him, just says, "Oh, for God's sake, we know that's not true." You used to use when the temperature gets a bit hot and everything.
Yeah, no, I do like Dijkstra's rant about that, because it's not even true in the books. They fight Nilfgaard on a bloody bridge in Rivia, which I saw it coming miles off that he'd get knighted as a Rivian knight. I saw it coming miles off when that scene started, but I'm like, I really like where this is going.
Yeah. And he then leaves after, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and that's
he
where
has to.
he sort of falls out of favor with the Rivian queen, is it?
Yeah, because in Blood and Wine, that comes back to bite you if you say you're Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah, because then like the son of a little shit just goes like, "Oh, how dare you! You dishonored my mother. You dishonor us, and you're a fraud."
I don't blame him for that really. Especially because he's in Tucson at a tournament of honor, and he's like, "You're the most dishonorable man I can think of." It kind of makes sense. It doesn't. It just does make sense. Yeah. And then you end up fighting him, and in the end, he's just like, "Oh, I still think you're a piece of shit." And then Geralt just says, "Look, here's why I had to leave. I was saving family." And he's like, "Oh, well, you beat me. The gods must be on your side. Maybe you are honorable then." It's like, "Oh, nice."
Yeah, he sort of drops it, and I mean, I think the Blood and Wine DLC is a massive like nod and wink to the books, and the fans of the books, because there's a lot of I mean, that's like the one aspect of the game that has a lot of references to the books, which is quite nice. But yeah, I was going to say anyway. I think we've been going on for how long now? Like
2 hours 10.
Yeah. 2 hours 10. Yeah. So we're going to be going to like laugh at the Guardian levels of length at the moment.
Got 5 more hours till then. Don't worry.
Oh God, no! I want to sleep tonight at least.
Same. I've got work.
I might watch some of the debates actually. That's got like is Trump debating tonight?
I believe he is. Yeah. I haven't seen a single one of the debates. I just watched the highlights on Twitter, and things like that. Because there's no point watching it, because I don't think people change their mind on it anyway.
Of course they don't. No, people haven't changed their minds. People's minds have been set for like 4 fucking years.
Damn right, I'm voting Trump. Well, if I was American, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, somebody. Side note, before we go, somebody was asking me, like a Democrat on Twitter, okay, well, you're not American, you're British, so why do you care that you want Trump in? And I was saying, listen, the Democrats have threatened to cut all like trading relations with the UK over our internal market bill. The Democrats have, so they are threatening our internal market and they are threatening our nation. So yes, I want Trump to win. And listen, I didn't draw first blood. The Democrats did. So
yeah, it's a stupid question, isn't it? It's like, oh, why do you care what happens in other countries? I mean, what are international relations? I don't know. Like, these people are brain dead, man.
I didn't get involved. Like in 2016, I didn't really get involved. I didn't really care. I mean, I sort of like watched. I sort of watched like overnight some of it because I just wanted to see like all the like like it was like people on Twitter and such. I think I was watching Saga on stream actually as well. Come to think of it, but there was like a TYT stream that was so funny because they're like all freaking out. There's one of the reasons I also want Trump to win because I just want to watch it, the meltdown, the salt.
Yeah.
Again,
another 4 years.
Oh god, another 4. Oh god, yeah.
Can't wait.
P-Man.
Based,
yeah. They probably are as well. I mean, well, we have to wait. Actually, we have to wait until next week because when Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony is released, we will know.
Shot in the back of the head. Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait.
Can't wait for that. That will be. I hope you do a video on that, like whatever comes out from Ghislaine Maxwell, because that'll be.
Oh, bloody hell, I need to think about doing videos. I don't really know what to do them on. Hillary fans crying is my Viagra. Nice. I too think of crying leftists when I shag women.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway.
Yeah, I say we should wrap it up now. Is there anything you want to shill? I'll ask the guest. Is there anything
right? So tomorrow I'm playing Among Us, streaming it as well from 8 p.m. That goes on for as long as it takes me to get bored. That's usually about 4 hours. Then we've got Laughing at the Guardian on. Hopefully Discordia will make a comeback. We're having Mac and Liberty, quite a big person on Twitter and Twitch on. She's a libertarian, along with. Then we've got Zenchan, who's a really just a guy who plays Among Us basically, and he's like, "Oh, can I come on?" And I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, I got those two guests on for Saturday from 8 o'clock, and then Sunday from 9 o'clock I'm on Economic Erudites CK's 2 stream. Come watch me be king of the TAFs. Cool. And then I'll hopefully make a video at some point as well. On what exactly yet, I'm not sure, but odds are something's going to come up in the news to piss me off, so it'll be that.
Oh, fantastic. And and on Saturday evening I will be joined with Sergeant Sniper and Anakin Cringewalker. We're going to be going through some early voting, early registration data coming out of the US, along with the polls that have been going out there as well, and we're going to be going through a lot of that information. We're going to see what's really going on the ground. I mean, I've put quite a bit of money up, betting.
I saw that, yeah. I've been tempted to do that, but I don't know. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. I mean, if I am right, then I'm going to get a lot of money back. So, Trump.
Good luck.
Yeah, Trump better win, or I'm going to be really fucking pissed off. But yeah, so we got that coming up on Saturday, so that should be quite good. But I guess that's it, and I'll say thank you for everyone who's joined us, and thank you, Haryan, for coming on. And also another thing, your username, Haryan Glaeddyv,
It's from The Witcher. Yeah.
It's from The Witcher, and I believe because this is another thing I remember looking up today because I remember Glaeddyv is elder speech, isn't it? The sword.
It is, yes. I made up that. Well, I derived the Haryan bit myself. That means silver. Guess the reference.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, because it all comes from Welsh, the elder speech, or it's derived from Welsh anyway.
Yeah,
so,
it derives from. So that's why Britisher calls you Taffy.
Yeah, because it looks very Welsh, and a lot of people are like, why did you choose a name that no one can spell? And my usual answer is I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It just sounded cool. But yeah, look, I'll send like a super chat, and someone's like, Haryan Glaeddyv. How the fuck do you say that? I think Rags once said on EFAP, just, why do you call yourself this?
Yeah.
So if I'm ever on EFAP, I will let him know why.
Well, see, my latest one is because I'm like AI Shiatori, and like every time I do like a super chat like with AA or something, he just calls me Al Shiatori, which is like that's what I've now been my name. And then like Sargon just goes Air Shiatori, so I haven't thought mine out properly either.
Oh God, well.
Yeah. I've got a poll going up set to change my to whether or not to get rid of the Shiatori bit, because like saffron there's been elements like the saffron to try and remove
fuck women.
Universal suffrage was a mistake.
Thank you. Repeal the 19th, etc. Yeah.
Labour would be fucked in this country if we did that. They'll never win an election again. But anyway, no, thank you all for joining, and I will see you all later. And so check out Saturday stream. Also check out Haryan streams as well that he referenced, and also check out the Discord links below to the British Museum and the Basket Weavers as well. They are really good Discords, lot to join, and they are it's pretty fun conversation. But until then, thank you and goodbye.
All right, thank you, Chip.